How much of that
Was real?
Was real. How much of that was he kind of, tempting you away and like obviously a little bit, just tiny bit of conflict in terms of taking you away from like.
Joey.
Farrah's put in time, dude. You were not easy to
We have
groom.
a really great relationship.
Well, let's ask Farrah. Farrah,
This was a slap in the face.
do you think I'm an asset on the team?
Yes.
Like, do you think Ben actually was actively recruiting me, or was it a
I
hoax?
do.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Liquidated Damages. The show used to be called Wine and Wisdom, but we had to change it for, well, reasons we're not really going to get into. I am here with four of the cast members, I guess, including myself, of the new Netflix show Buying Beverly Hills. We're here with Brandon, Farrah, and Joey. Guys, thanks for joining. As always, we're going to have a little bit of delicious wine and some food to go with it. So just real quick, I selected today a blend from Paso Robles, one of my favorite producers, Booker, because we have a interesting blend of people here. So cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
Cheers. Good luck to us all.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get
Godspeed.
canceled, yeah.
Exciting times, you guys.
I'm excited. You are the only one here that actually has experience being on television. I mean, you've spent, in one way or another, the last 10 years of your life being on television in some capacity, right? So you're kind of used to this.
Kind of used to it. Definitely was used to being around cameras. But it's still a whole different experience being like a cast member
For
of
sure.
your own show.
Yeah.
It still feels very, very new to me, even though I did kind of know the whole gist of it going in.
I'm just curious, like, have you and your mom had some interesting conversations like, well, now you know what it's like, right? I mean, Kyle's been on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for how many years?
12 years?
12 years.
Yeah.
And she's featured, like that show is about her. This show is very much about you and your family and your sister. Like, have you guys had some, like, heart-to-hearts where...
I did go to her definitely before we started filming and just said, I was more concerned about the interview aspect. And I just asked her, like, do you get the questions in advance? Like, you guys are so witty in your interviews and how...
like the testimonials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you always have some punchy thing to say? And she's like, no, you don't get anything in advance. The advice that she gave me was just to be true to yourself.
Okay.
That's all you can do. Be very authentic. And other than that, I think there probably were moments during filming where I was just like, they're really pushing on this subject, which is the obvious.
Yeah, sort of the obvious one. Yeah, the big
And
engagement.
We were all there at a certain point in this process.
Yeah, and she did say, they're always going to try to make a great TV show, but if you're not comfortable asking something, no matter how many which ways it's asked,
Right.
then don't answer it. They don't just say, okay, no worries, on to the next.
Right.
It's you really kind of
They'll
really
ask
get
you
out
that
of-
question 18 different ways to try to get the answer they're looking for. Some of the best advice I got was I went to James Harris, who's obviously on $1 Million Listing, has been on TV for, whatever, 8 seasons. And he was saying, like, look, the only thing you have control over are the words that come out of your mouth.
Right.
So, like, just be careful about what you say and make sure that you want to be portrayed accurately and authentically. And I think you were. I think that, like, you come across as you are in person, very poised, very control, not overly emotional in one direction or another, constantly control a shitstorm that's always swirling around us.
Yes, I definitely think it's an accurate portrayal of one main part of my personality.
Yeah.
When it comes to business, I am serious, professional, in control and all that. But I do feel like I'm also very quirky and like fun, and maybe not everyone gets to see that part.
Right.
But understandably, it is a business show, and I do hope that more of my personality will come out in future seasons.
Yeah.
But if it's the worst thing that I can say, that I come off serious, that's not so bad.
Yeah, so speaking to the opposite end of the spectrum from serious and professional, let's shift to you here, Joey.
Everyone has their own way of getting it done, so.
Interesting portrayal of your and Ben's relationship. As it takes a bit of a journey throughout the show, right? You guys, it starts a little contentious and then ends up sort of actually becoming more of an authentic relationship where I think you sort of earned his respect.
Have you seen his social media?
I've seen his social, yes.
You get past that. At a certain point, you get to know him.
Right.
And then he's not as bad as he portrays himself to be. And I think those of you who
the
watch
nicest
the show...
backhanded compliment I think I've ever heard.
Just a
Okay.
little shade.
No, but those are the kind of jabs we would throw at each other in person, and that's kind of the beauty of what our relationship has become. It's like this kind of big brother, little brother relationship where, I think my big brother is a huge nerd, and he thinks I'm just some sort of like spoiled kid.
Spoiled jackass.
Yeah, spoiled jackass. And
Putting it
both
lightly.
turned out to be true. So
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting again, the dynamic between that relationship, because he kind of steps in as sort of, at first, like you said, he thinks you're kind of just like a spoiled kid that got handed this opportunity. Then he actually sees your chops out in the field and starts to think, well, you know what, he might be better than I thought. And then there's this whole notion of, will you come join my team?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. His perception of you has completely changed.
Yeah.
He now actually sees you as a potential asset to his team, right? So how much of that was
Was real?
Was real. How much of that was he kind of, tempting you away, and like obviously a little bit, just tiny bit of conflict in terms of taking you away from
Joey.
Farrah's put in time, dude. You were not easy to
We have
groom.
a really great relationship.
Let's ask Farrah. Farrah,
This was a slap in the face.
do you think I'm an asset on the team?
Yes.
Like, do you think Ben actually was actively recruiting me, or was it a
I
hoax?
do. I think he was actively recruiting you, and I do think you're definitely an asset. And that's why that was really annoying. And Mauricio and I were like, hey, get out of our territory. You are great at what you do, and just like a whole bunch of fun to work with.
There's no better feeling than being wanted. And that's really why I arranged this whole thing.
What did you think about when you got cast for the show?
What did I think?
Because I thought when I first saw the cast, I looked at you and Ben and thought, that's going to be one of the most interesting dynamics. Because the two of you are just funny and witty, and will say.
I looked at Ben and I was disappointed that I was on a cast with him.
Ooh.
But listen, he would say the same thing. He would say the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then we came around and appreciated and loved each other. But to be honest, I think like a lot of thoughts were going through my head, but at the same time, zero surprise, which is kind of interesting. I just kind of thought like at some point I would end up in some weird scenario like this.
Yeah, fair enough.
You do have that personality, the charm
Oh, thank
to
you.
end up on TV.
Well, you have the mouth to put you in interesting
appreciate
scenarios,
it.
that's for sure.
You're
Yeah.
so good. You're so funny on the show.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to minimize my mouth.
So are you.
Yes.
Yeah,
And what about
honestly.
you? Obviously, you have a great sort of story of growth throughout the show, really kind of starting out as a new agent, like a true new agent.
Yeah.
This wasn't obviously something that was fake. You were Kevin's assistant, and then graduated becoming an agent, and then the show really started filming kind of right as you like jumped in with both feet.
Yeah.
How did you think that all played out?
Whew. I'm actually still kind of processing everything. I'm still like catching up, even though it's been
0 to
it's been
100.
so long, like since we filmed and everything. But out of body experience, like I don't know if we can curse it, but like,
It's
what's
you can
happening?
absolutely
what's going
fucking
on?
curse here.
What
Absolutely.
am I doing? Like, but then it just happened so naturally. So I knew it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I just rode with it, you know.
There was definitely a portrayal of some competition between you and Sonica.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you guys both work on my team, and I think that there's a friendly competition that exists within the team. I think that we're all competitive to a certain extent. If you're not, honestly, what the hell are you doing in this job?
Mm-hmm.
But how much of that, like, did you feel like it was sort of you versus Sonica in terms of the way you guys were either being portrayed, or in terms of just, your growth, getting recognized by the team and getting the opportunity to go do open houses and things like that?
I think because Sonica is Kevin's girlfriend, it was kind of like contentious there. Like she wasn't necessarily seeing me get opportunities that she wasn't getting, but she was saying that she didn't want those opportunities because she's his girlfriend. So it was kind of confusing. So I just like parted the seas and took it all.
I see that.
Yeah.
I see that, right? Because she had opportunities
Yeah.
inherently just by being his
Yeah.
girlfriend, but then by the same token, wanted to be her own woman and
Yeah.
stand on her own 2 feet. All right, speaking of the truth, the proposal.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Staged, on the fly, totally authentic.
Totally.
I know it's real. I don't know. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know she's
Say it on the
engaged. Just so
camera.
we're super
It's
clear.
here.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, were
What-
you completely caught off guard?
Completely
Wow.
shocked.
Really?
I have to tell. I feel like I wish I could scream this from the rooftops because for some reason, I don't know, the optics, everyone's going to be wondering that.
Right.
So all week, I told Alex, hey, they want us to film a scene of us talking about us, and that already like sent me over the edge.
I'm sure.
And he was like, can we do any other night but that night? Any other night. And I was like, can you please not be difficult? Like everything goes boom, boom, boom. And after begging, he wouldn't sign the location agreement release. And then finally, he called all his friends because the ring was just ready that day.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then my cousin Paris's wedding was the next day. He talked to his friends and they're like, hey, you need a videographer anyways. Fuck it. So he literally was like, fuck it. Okay, like, I'll just do it. I'm like cooking dinner, so frantic. I just filmed a scene with Allie right before where she's pressing and asking him with questions. And then I'm like, now I have to talk to him about this on camera at dinner. Like, I cannot deal. And then I start bringing up the conversation, like, everybody has such a say in everything, and this is you and I, and we gotta put the blinders on. And all of a sudden he's like, stop, I wrote something for you. And then next thing you know, he's on one knee, and
I know.
I'm like,
You can hear
what?
You can hear anything.
Yeah, and you even see me look at the producers, and I say, did you guys know about this?
It was a really special moment. I remember when I first saw it, Lauren and I looked at them and were like, that had to have been real, because you're not a paid actress.
Exactly.
Like, your reaction and then your mom's reaction when you called her on FaceTime.
Yes.
When you called Kyle on FaceTime, I think they were at like a loud restaurant, but you could see her reaction, and it was just like, that's totally authentic.
Okay, I'm glad, because I'm like, it's just weird. The fact that it even happened like that is so
That's the
crazy.
next question I was going to ask. Is it weird, like,
we're
forever?
dying and cringing. He's like, I can't believe I did that. I'm like,
Yeah.
It's okay.
I feel like that's so not his personality.
It's
either.
not.
Yeah.
It's not. That's the thing.
opposite of his personality. But he was like, you literally were so annoying, and I was already so stressed about the ring in general and the whole thing. He's like, I just was like, whatever,
Yeah, speaking as the only man at the table that has gotten down on one knee, like, it is.
Well.
Whoa.
Okay.
You said one that too.
Oh my God. Dead.
I'm just trying to keep this appropriate for our client.
No, it just
Why?
wouldn't. No,
Go.
it didn't. No, that ship sailed right there.
Oh my God.
Dude, that was the best line of the day.
You're so
That was
good.
phenomenal. As I think the only person that here has gotten down on one knee and done that, it is stressful. And to do that with the lights on, the cameras on, the producers watching, do that with an audience.
What a champ.
God. Yeah.
Seriously.
He was like, it's worse than buying a house, looking at thousands of diamonds, and they're not even in their setting, and you're like, how do I know
It
between
is.
this one and that one?
It is. You don't.
And yeah.
What you really want to do is you want to make your partner a partner in that decision, because you're the one that's going to wear it for the rest of your life. But it totally takes away from that moment. It just detracts from the gravity of that moment to have that ring right there. But
I was so happy that he did not involve me in anything. I wanted it to be a full surprise. I did not have anything to do with the ring. Thank God he has amazing taste.
yeah, the
And,
ring's. I mean,
we're good on
probably
that.
Wow.
blinding the camera right now, but it's the ring's pretty damn stunning.
It's bigger than my entire
Thank you.
future, yeah.
It's bigger than a lot of things you have.
Literally, honestly, recently he goes,
Entire
did it need to be
future.
that big? He's like, honestly, could I have done smaller? And
No.
I'm like, no.
No.
You did great, honey. You did great.
That's so good. We take for granted what we get to do day in and day out. Case in point, how we're sitting here filming this in a $20 million house. That the reality is most people don't get to see the inside of a $20 million house,
That's
right?
true.
To me, it's like one of the single greatest things that we get to do, and one of the greatest perks of our job is that we get to see inside some of the most beautiful, most
That's fair.
spectacular estates
Absolutely.
in the world. And I think this gives people a little sort of peek behind the curtain.
Definitely.
And it gives them a peek behind the curtain to understand like what it is to do that job, and like
Yeah.
the challenges of it, and starting out that you don't know basic things like
Yeah,
your sister
Calcutta,
not Calcutta and like
Carrera.
Carrera marble,
That
like,
was
you know.
iconic.
How do you think the whole portrayal of Melissa and Alexia's relationship came across? Do you think that was that just sort of a blip? I mean, they've obviously been friends for a long time. Was that, and I think friends through you, right? Was that just sort of a little sort of blip on the radar for them, or was that really kind of like a serious issue in their friendship?
A blip on the radar, but it was very hurtful to Alexia. She might be a little tough cookie, but also sensitive, and especially coming from Melissa, who really is the sweetest angel, but she also does tell the truth. So I think it was hard for Alexia to hear, and I think Melissa does come off as kind of the one asking the hard question. She comes off a little harsher than probably she is in real life. But she was just, honestly, it was coming from a good place, and she really was just trying to help Alexia level up.
Yeah, Alexia's first showing was very similar to the showing we had at Rexford with you and Sonica.
Those were hilarious moments. Alexia's.
Disaster. Oh my God. I'm still. No, we talk about it.
So funny.
Again, they must have asked me a couple dozen different times about that scene. And, you know, look, I had to be honest. It
Yeah.
was
Which-
not a
it
great
was not
performance.
good.
It was not a great
No.
performance.
By the way,
There-
I was
it's so
there.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, all of us as agents, we of course always want to know everything and be so perfect in every which way. But those are such relatable moments,
Yeah.
being caught
For
off guard.
sure, yeah.
Or us not knowing that one thing, and you just feel so bad.
Yeah.
And it's so embarrassing. And it's
I think I
seemingly a
caught-
little thing, but it feels like huge. And just seeing everyone in those moments, you're just rooting for everybody.
Yeah.
Get it together.
And
Totally.
It's
you're
more
laughing.
likely you're gonna screw up when like 8 cameras are in your face, but it
There's that
happens
too.
off camera too.
Not to
That
mention,
too.
like, there was a like legitimate plot twist there. They were coming over to see the house,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mo shows up.
Yeah, and that was like our first or second day of filming. It was
It really
very
was.
That's a
nightmare.
It was
That's a
the
nightmare.
first week of filming.
I hadn't like met anybody. I'm meeting people on camera. It's like, oh my god, like what's going on? thought,
I don't think
yeah.
I even knew
Yeah.
until I showed up, and they were like, "Listen, so Mo's gonna show up in like an hour, and then he's gonna grill them." And I was like, "Guys, that's fucked up. Like,
Oh
that's
my gosh.
really like." I said, "Can I tell them?" They're like, "You cannot tell them." I'm like, "Oh
I
god."
can't imagine.
I'm just, like,
Daddy
bouncing
Umansky,
around the
Daddy
house,
Grauman.
like,
That was-
You know,
Good
so
too.
that was the first week, and that really I thought might have set the precedent. So the rest of the show, I was kind of coming into every scene, honestly, a little bit scared that like, are they gonna turn the tables on me?
Yeah.
Like, is someone gonna flip the script on me, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be caught off guard in a moment?
But you're very good in those
Me
situations.
too.
Because you're probably always thinking it's gonna happen.
I-
Just over prepared.
That's sort of my MO. Is I kind of over prepare for everything. I don't know any other way.
Let me ask. So what was everybody's favorite and least favorite part about the filming process?
That's a good question.
I know my answer.
Hit it.
Okay.
Dealing with any sort of tension with Mauricio.
Mhm.
I mean, that was
Least favorite.
really.
That was your least.
Oh, is that what you said? Least?
Yeah.
What do you say, favorite and
Oh,
least? Yeah.
least favorite.
Wait.
Obviously.
Dealing with all the tension was your favorite?
No.
No, least favorite.
Okay.
Obviously, the least
She loves the
favorite.
drama. She loves the
Oh,
drama.
by the way, the poise we talked about earlier just
Oh,
fucking went right
out
out
the
the
window.
window.
Who is this guy?
And that was obviously very hard to navigate.
Yeah.
Because trying to bring up real things, and then, of course, the producers off camera asked like just these little questions, and then suddenly there's a whole storyline, and you're like, oh no, I can't backpedal now, and wanting to be real, but then having to actually like come to Mauricio and then think, oh my God, is this the right thing? Is this going to be bad for us for the like all of those things? So that was really hard. And then my favorite part was obviously just all of us having a great time. Just new experience. We're all in it together.
Yeah.
We have such camaraderie already, and we're such a family that was just fun.
Yeah. My least favorite part, I would say, was probably just the scheduling and coordination, the time
Yeah.
that went into it. It was a
Lot of
lot. It was a
time.
big time commitment. The reality is that like we all don't have enough hours in the day to begin. Well, I mean, we
begin with.
we don't. I don't know what you do, but we don't have.
Yeah.
enough.
John, look at my recent sales.
So that was really tough. And then, I honestly kind of thought like, sort of an associate producer sometimes in terms of like scheduling locations and getting location agreements
Oh,
signed
yeah.
and stuff like that, where it's like, this is not what I do. The
Well,
best
you were coordinating like for a lot of listings. You
for a lot of,
provided
yeah, because
lot
they
of good
they
stuff.
needed
Yeah.
background, right? They
Yeah.
need like, I think a big part of the show is the house porn,
The
like
real
we
estate,
talked
yeah.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part, convincing clients.
For sure, for
Yeah.
all of us. This
Oh
is
my
actually a
God.
super interesting to talk about
Yeah.
because obviously we're all active agents. We all have clients and sellers and listings, and getting our clients and sellers to sign on was really tough.
So hard.
Like, look, I went into this and just sort of resigned myself to the only thing I have control over the words that come out of my mouth, and beyond that, I have to trust that these people do what they do better than I could do it, right? Producers, editors, like
Yeah,
they
exactly.
have that job and I don't for a reason. So I'm gonna just try to be the most authentic version of myself, and I hope that they splice it together in a way that is entertaining for an audience, right? That's
And
all you
reflective
can,
of
and reflective of like who I am
Yeah,
and an
what we
accurate
do.
portrayal and all those things. And then I would say the best part of filming was just hopefully giving people like a sneak peek into what it is to be a luxury real estate agent in LA,
Yeah.
which is kind of
Yeah.
cool, right? It's a, again, we take it for granted, but I can tell you going to like Tom Ferry events and, real estate conferences around the rest of the country where there's thousands of people there, those people would give a limb to
Like
be a
LA
luxury
real estate,
agent
Beverly
in LA or
Hills.
New York. Like this
Yeah.
is
to know
the
Farrah
pinnacle.
Brittany.
Yeah.
to know Farrah Brittany, obviously. Like,
Ew.
And you? Least favorite?
So much easier to think of the least favorites than the favorites.
What was it?
Even though the favorites were obvious. I mean, the things that they dragged out that may have not been relevant to today, but things that resurfaced from the show. And then like you
Like you and Alexia?
Yeah.
for example,
Elephant in the room.
Uh-huh.
yeah. Where was I going with this?
No clue.
You don't even know,
Scheduling.
so, yeah.
Scheduling was the worst. Scheduling. I mean, we really ended up filming. I remember several weeks where it was 40 plus hours in a week.
It was a lot.
And then,
Wow.
like,
It was a lot.
my business was honestly, I was doing deals during the filming.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy. Just like
Yeah.
balancing all that. We had like
Long fulfillment.
insane,
Oh yeah, can
rigorous.
we differentiate or explain that it doesn't work that the cameras just show up and say, hey, we're following you on your real estate day to day, woohoo! It
Yeah.
has to be location picked in advance, getting permits, knowing some sort of outline of what was gonna happen there. So it wasn't just following
Yeah.
us.
No, but
it was
that's
creating a
what it was.
second,
Yeah.
it was like we were doing our jobs and then this was sort of like a second
Showing
job.
up to do it. Yeah.
It's also important to make the distinction that was the only part that was like staged and choreographed, because I had a lot of questions about that. Like,
That's true.
how real is that? It's like, well, look, we're filming a television show. You have to get a permit to film there, so you can't just show up somewhere and
Right.
like turn on the cameras. We have to know where you're filming. But beyond that, there was no coaching or direction.
No,
it was
it
just.
wasn't.
No one said action, which kind of bummed me out. Like I was really waiting for just like,
I made
action.
them
It
say
was
action.
nobody said
But,
action.
towards the end, I was like, say action, please.
Really?
I just
Yes.
That's amazing.
I'm like, just come on. Someone
As
say
you-
action.
Somebody
as
say
I got
action.
it, yes.
I love it.
But aside from that, I just was like, I'd look around, I'm like, are we going? Are we going? How
Yeah.
long have we been going for?
Yeah.
Shit, what have I been saying?
That's
Yeah.
So for an editor and a producer to decide what storyline we want
Right.
to follow.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate sort of byproduct there is that like there are going to be casualties of that. Like there's going to
Yeah.
be great stuff
Yeah.
that just gets cut. Like
I
I had
know.
a scene with my buddy Pasquale that owns EDC at his house that we were selling on
Oh, that's a
Windsor,
great one.
and it was hysterical. Like everybody off camera was cracking up, and we were telling all rave stories, and it was embarrassing but really funny for me, talking about when I was like a fucking raver in my teenage years, and it just
So
you know,
hilarious to me.
it's just only so many hours I guess in a show.
Wow.
It just didn't make it. But
Yeah.
Do you think the show was, in your opinion, was able to really like capture what that lifestyle looks like in terms of just being flinged around like a ping pong ball?
I think that it gave as much of an insight into that world as any show can. I think that as we talked about, look, we work with some of the most affluent people in the world, and one of the things that's most important to those types of clients is, a certain level of discretion, keeping things confidential, and as a result, you're just going to have certain clients that aren't going to want to participate. So I think in that respect, you didn't get a full peek into like what
Yeah.
it looks like, but yeah, I think that it gave, a sense of what we do. I think in terms of like this sort of relentless nature of our business, because I always refer to it as just getting pounded by the surf over and over and over, and occasionally you come up for some oxygen and then
Yes.
you get pounded again.
Not
Right, that's just basically the nature of what we do, is just get the shit kicked out of us
love
most
getting
days.
pounded, I'll tell you.
Oh, my.
So we get pounded for a living. Go on.
On the daily.
Take
Yes, I
that.
didn't
You
answer
can't
that
get
question for
canceled with a
myself.
beard.
Okay.
What?
My favorite and worst. My favorite, even though I'm on your team, I feel like we got to know each other so much more.
Yeah.
Even though we're filming, but I was like, wow, okay, I'm really getting to know Jon now, because
Yes.
we're both, like in our worlds when we're working. I feel like I got to know you a lot. I feel like we had some really cool scenes together.
We
with
did.
Joey.
We did.
you had a pretty funny line about me, actually. I laughed pretty hard.
Oh, I know. That's amazing.
I think you gotta know which line it is. The eyebrows.
Wait.
He has this line about my
That was
eyebrows
so
where he
good.
said he said something like he's like John's a boss, but mostly John's eyebrows are iconic. And then he goes, they deserve their own office.
That was so
One
good.
That's hilarious.
One for each of them.
That was so good.
Oh my god, I don't even remember half the things I said, which makes me so nervous.
And the
It was just going.
Mazda, yeah.
The Maserati.
The
Yes,
Maserati
the
is
Maserati.
really
We
good.
love the
You're very
Maserati.
good.
The Maserati.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're
so
an
much
You,
entertainer.
you, dude, you came off great. You came
So
off,
much fun to
yeah,
watch.
very polished, very natural.
Uh-huh.
I was legit nervous, and I don't get that nervous, but I was nervous at Wallace Ridge.
Really?
It was week one.
That was week one, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
the first all-cast event.
Uh-huh.
With
It was
clients.
hot as fuck. Do
You
you
were
guys remember how hot it
essentially-
was?
Yeah,
It
Your
was
fake- my
so-
makeup.
Yeah, you're in the
hot.
green.
I was wearing a
So
wool
uncomfortable.
jacket. For
And
some
everything
reason.
was open. All the doors were open. We were hosting.
Yeah.
Adam and I had partnered not that long ago, and that was a listing he brought into our partnership. And I wanted to speak intelligently about it, and it was really, again, more his listing than it was mine, so I tried to defer to him some, and it was just one of those, like, I feel like everybody was just trying to find their footing, and
Yeah.
then it was just like, whoa, this is just like, I don't know, it was a weird thing to do in the first week, to throw
You're like,
everyone...
is this setting the tone?
Exactly.
For the
I
rest?
really didn't
Yeah.
know what it was like. Oh my God, is this like? And it wasn't. It
Yeah.
became very different. They started
Yeah.
kind of doing these separate scenes and then kind of tying together storylines. But it really, the pressure starts building from Farrah because Allie goes in pretty hard.
Yeah,
Allie went in
I
hard,
remember that.
and she went in hard on Mo, and you could see Like, I've seen that
So
look in Mo's
uncomfortable.
eyes so many times.
Yeah, he's like,
where it's just like,
he's-
get me out of this conversation. Get me out of this conversation. Because she was really
He's
like,
really bad at hiding that look.
and there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do.
You can tell.
Does
too.
it to me.
I feel like that's a
does it
dad
to
thing,
everybody.
though.
What?
That's a dad thing. Like dads, just at a certain point, you could talk on this.
It's a
just
dad
they just
thing.
start checking out. I don't know, like they're.
dude, I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. I'm mostly checked out.
You had a few more years.
Yeah.
You're the most checked in, checked out person.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
You're
that.
so with it.
I appreciate that. You know, for me, it was very cool that in the final episode, we got to film at 1200 Bel Air. That was cool because we got to showcase $139 million listing.
That's great.
You and Mauricio
And Adam.
and Adam, right?
And that was very cool because, you know, I know for Netflix and I think for any reality real estate show, there's never been, you know, a 9-figure
That's
listing.
pretty huge.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
huge.
was.
I
that
think
was
a lot
big.
of people
Yeah.
don't even know that exists. Is there
And-
anything fucked up that happened when we were filming?
There was definitely, look, there was the moment at Farrah where Sonica found out that Kevin had kissed Amanda years ago.
Yeah.
Years ago. Like, it was a drunken kiss at a bar years before they had ever even met each other. To me, it was like the most inconsequential thing. But it was a thing.
Yeah,
And
apparently
that
it was a
was
secret.
that happened in that moment. Like, I watched it unfold and
Oh my god. Well, I knew it was going to happen, so I was like biting my fingers like holy
Oh,
smokes.
God, I had no idea it was gonna
I
happen.
was just reacting.
Yeah,
I
so
was
Kevin
drunk
Kevin
and
came up to me.
Yeah, I was just vibing.
We were
Yeah.
wasted. Sorry.
You were?
Me and
Like-
I wouldn't say wasted. I was
you were.
held it together at my boss's
Mary?
house.
Were you married?
Was I married? No, I was just happy to see everyone was falling apart.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin came up to me and very discreetly just said like, "Hey man, can I talk to you for a second?" I was like, "Yeah,
That's how
sure,
it sounds,
yeah."
dude.
And then we started walking off camera, and I saw him. He's like, "Take your mic off. Take your mic off. Take your mic." And so I was like, "What the fuck?" He took his mic off. I took my mic off. Poor guy, man. I mean, he really got caught off guard. Like he got blindsided.
Yeah.
And he, like I think anyone in that situation was kind of like a deer in the headlights. He just like froze and didn't
Yeah.
know what to do.
Aw.
And again, it's not like he had done anything wrong. He didn't cheat on anybody. He just, like
But he lied.
He kissed somebody.
He lied.
I'm not taking sides on this subject. I'm only saying that
Oh.
like
You can argue the only unethical thing he did was dress up in that costume.
one could argue that yes. And so, oh god, there I am trying to like mediate this conversation between Kevin and Sonica, and I'm dressed up in full day of the day. Full day of the day.
All the
Whatever
costumes are
expressions I
hilarious.
had,
Yeah.
I couldn't even see because I'm
Yeah.
full day of the day.
Yeah.
I'm just like my face is just this stoic
looked
day of the day.
insane that night. That was
And
crazy.
here I am trying to like be empathetic and like I'm trying to like mend this. Oh
my
god, it
God.
was
I would
just
never
one of
been
those.
able to take
I
any
kept
of you
thinking
guys
like this is
seriously
gonna
that.
look utterly ridiculous. This is going to look so ridiculous.
And do you think it did? Besides the costume part.
Yeah, well then, okay, I
Yes.
thought I looked ridiculous until then up walks Ben, who's dressed up like an 80s rocker.
In the wig, yeah, the bottom
Right? Full on
And
80s
he's like,
rocker.
whatever.
And like, yeah, and everyone's just, and he finally gets clued into what's happening and he goes, I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
And I think his line was, I don't have license to, you know, anything Amanda did before I met her or something like that, you know, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so that's why they were
That's
so cool about it. I
rational
was wondering why they
thinking.
were so like
Yeah.
cool about everything.
Guys, thank you so much for doing this. It's
Thank
been
you.
Thank
fun to
you.
actually just like get the band back together and
Yeah.
have a little reunion.
Yes.
I feel like it's real now.
It's real. This is happening.
real.
Yeah.
It's-
So I'm, you know, everybody keeps for the last however long now, everyone's been asking me like, "Are you excited? Are you excited?" It's like I'm more anxious and curious than I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I
right.
would think
I'm
so.
Yeah.
anxious and
That's
curious. I just
exactly
want to
it.
get there and see what it is and
Yes, yes.
how the world responds
Yeah.
to it, and you know,
I don't have anything to compare this experience to, so
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm just myself. I get
Exactly.
that question all the time. Like,
I mean-
I feel good.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
I'm excited, like
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
for
Like,
sure.
I just got excited in the
Yeah.
past, you know.
Like
Yeah.
it turned from anxiety to
Yeah.
a little bit of like, okay, I kind of see what's happening. That's exciting.
It's here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually, it's finally here. It's like you booked a trip like 6 months ago,
Yes.
and you're actually getting on the plane now. It's like, okay, well,
It's like when you wait 5 years to get engaged.
It's here. It's here. It's here.
thank you everybody for watching this first episode of Liquidated Damages. Make sure to like, subscribe, and whatever it is they tell me to do. The other thing I can't remember. We'll see you next time.
Do them all.